Hi, I'm Toby Southgate. I'm the global CEO of Forsman and Bodenfors, a global creative agency inside of Stagwell Group, and I am joined in the Stagwell Speakers Lounge here at the Cannes Lion Festival of Creativity by Atifa Hargrave-Silk. She's the Managing Director of Haymarket Media Group for APAC. She looks after all of their properties in the region, including things like Campaign Magazine and Spikes Asia, which is the regional equivalent, is that the word you use, or the regional version of Cannes Lion. So delighted to have her with us today. Thank you, Atifa, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here as well.
Great. Me too. This is an important week for those of us in and around the industry, and you know the Lions very well. I won't quote numbers, we've all been here a bunch of times, but you've also seen it from some interesting perspectives, from brands, clients, the press, industry, regional, global, lots of levels. So after 3 years away, what's it like to be back, and has anything changed?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to be back. I think before coming to Cannes, there was a lot of anticipation, maybe people anxious as well. What's it going to be like? You know, we've had 3 years away.
Yeah.
We've not had the opportunity to try and reconnect with each other face to face. We've just had this life on Zoom calls, right? So what's it going to be like? And I think the general mood is incredibly positive. There's a lot of enthusiasm around the industry. People are grateful to be together. So
Yes.
I feel that the mood is really positive.
Yeah, I agree. I think it feels great to be together again in real life. You've broken that wall of the screen. But you use the word enthusiasm. I think we're reminding ourselves that this is also a great industry to work in, full of lovely people, and that we're here to make a bit of a difference as well.
It is, but I also think at the same time it's an opportunity for us to think about what is our purpose, right? So what are we trying to achieve as marketers or as agencies, and what responsibility do we have? So the fact that this year's Lions theme, or one of the themes, is very much around sustainability or DE&I, we've got to think about, you know, as an industry, where can we make change? Where can we bring about the change that's needed?
Do you think people are making progress, or do you think there's still a job to be done?
I think there's still a lot of work to be done. So what we're seeing is there's some progress, and there's some great work that's coming out at the awards as well, where actually you're seeing some of that really result in impact and bring about changes in consumer behaviors, and obviously deliver on the effectiveness part as well. So all of that's ticking the boxes. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of brands out there that aren't necessarily clear around the roadmap that they need to be taking to get to where they're expected to get to, because consumers have these expectations, right? It's no longer a case that you shouldn't be looking at this, you can't afford to look at this. You've got to weigh up the opportunities and think about having a plan to get there, but at the same time being conscious that you are being authentic and really true to your brand purpose.
And I think on top of that, because I agree with everything you said, there's also the acceptance, I think, that principles, what's the quote? A principle is only a principle if it costs you money. Like there are investments that organizations need to make in order to act on the promise, not just make the promise.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. So how do you have those tangible things that people can see and feel, and where's that difference coming from?
Sure. I want to ask a question about your part of the world and its representation in this International Festival of Creativity. It is an international festival of creativity. It is the biggest of its kind. And it also leads almost always with the English language. You know, entries, jury rooms, how work is assessed. There are some fantastic creative businesses and very ambitious brands across Asia that aren't as represented here in that world as they might be. What are the obstacles, and how do we get rid of those?
I think it's a really good question, and probably one of the biggest questions that the organizers of Cannes Lions have on their mind, because how do you have a show that's really inclusive, that's attracting entries, delegates, juries, when we know, yes, language is an issue, culture is an issue. At the same time, Cannes, when you look around here, it's a melting pot, right?
Yes,
You've got people coming from all over the world. But as an entrant, let's talk about the creative work, as an entrant in Asia, in a market where English is not your first language and the work you're creating isn't in English either, there's a lot of anxiety there in putting a case study together, a case that's going to get understood. The cultural nuances of that work are going to be seen, heard, and felt by the jury, an international jury that might know nothing about your market or some of the challenges and issues that you're facing.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of anxiety there, and I think the organizers of the awards have done quite a bit to help ease some of that, but there's a lot more work that we can be doing, because if we are looking at this as an international representation of the world that we're operating in, and of the work that's being produced, then it needs to show the work from each of those key markets as well.
Absolutely. Do you have, what is the secret weapon of creativity across Asia? You cover everything from India to Greater China and Australia. What's a market that you would like our world to know about?
There's so much great work coming out of Asia. India has some remarkable work, right? And they've done really well with some of the Grand Prix here. You can see some of the work there. There's a lot of great creativity that's coming out of China.
Yeah.
And when I think about China, I think actually it's just not getting the recognition that it deserves. So when you think about the scale of the market, the economic might of the market as well, the potential that's there, none of that is equivalent to what we're seeing on the global stage at the moment when it comes to creative awards. So I'd like to see that change as well. But other markets such as Thailand, some really creative, quirky work that's coming out of there as well. And I would encourage people to keep a lookout for markets like Vietnam. They're doing some really clever work, and there's some creative work that's coming out from some of the smaller shops and some of the local brands as well that's worth exploring.
Good to know. I think goes back to your point on enthusiasm, actually. We should all be enthusiastic to find those brands, find those people making the work, put those agencies on a stage and bring them, because this is a learning organisation as much as a teaching one, I think. I have a final question, because this is a rare opportunity for somebody like me to be asking somebody like you questions. You could award a lion for industry journalism to anyone. Who would you award it to?
Wow, that's a big question. So maybe a little bit self-serving, but I'm really proud of the work that some of our team have done on Campaign Asia in terms of promoting diversity and inclusiveness in the Asia market. So Sureka Raghavan, one of our journalists, has written some outstanding pieces of work. And why I think she would deserve that award is not only because of the work that she's produced in terms of the content itself, but it's the change that it's brought about. Yes. So there have been some very serious issues in the Asian advertising community when it comes to gender issues, sexual harassment. She's put these on the map, and she's brought about actually some action, some change that's taken place in those local markets in the region.
Good choice. I'll say hello next time I'm in Singapore, but thank you. Thank you for representing your team. You're doing several jobs, not only across your whole region, but I know you've had a hugely busy time. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you for joining us. Please do follow along. All of our activities are available at Stagwell's LinkedIn presence and online, of course, at stagwellglobal.com. Thanks, Atifa.
Thank you.